What's up, Union? Welcome back to another episode of Pod the Union. Today, I am your host, Raoul, and I have two exciting guests who I've been friends with for a very long time. And I am going to introduce you to Shenelle, Rodrigo, who's there, and Shehaan here.
Hello.
Did I pronounce your name right? Because I always feel like I don't pronounce your name right.
Yeah, that was good. Tahir.
Yeah? Tahir. Okay. Also, do I say Assalamu alaikum?
No, not necessarily.
All right. For all of you guys who do not know, Shenelle is on Instagram as Shenelle R. I pronounce it as Shenelle, right?
Yeah.
And she has a YouTube blog channel as well, which touched on a series called This is Sri Lanka that they brought, and they came up with the concept of it, and they were the pioneers behind having an English-speaking travel channel in Sri Lanka, and these are the two masterminds behind it. Shenelle's the one in front of the camera, and Shehaan's the one basically most of the time behind the camera. Of course, Shehaan does show himself from time to time. Yeah, exactly. I want to ask you guys, what was your reasoning to come up with this idea? Because I know you guys had your own 9-to-5 jobs, and we've all been there. But what was your reason to make this concept?
Yeah. You want to answer that?
I'll answer the first part and then you answer the second.
Go for it.
We've answered this question quite a few times now, so we've divided up the work. But basically, the idea stems from the fact that we used to travel with our friends a lot, and then we always wanted to wanted to explore more deeply, and so we planned our first trip abroad together. And while we were traveling abroad for 1 month backpacking, we came to the realization that a lot of these things that we are spending money to go out of the country and see, while that's all great, we had barely backpacked or traveled or really deeply explored our own country the way we were doing in Thailand, which was a country of our choice at the time. And so when we came back, we made this we made a pact saying we want to travel Sri Lanka to that extent and know about our country as much as possible before we try to go and show people other countries. I felt like that's something we owed to ourselves. We need to explore our backyard. And then Shehaan came up with the brilliant idea of This is Sri Lanka.
Yeah. So how that came about was basically, like you said, we were doing our 9-to-5s, and both of us were at a point where, so actually Shenelle quit her job first, and then I was in this transition phase as well. And at that time, I was also just like, you know what, it's now or never, I'm going to do it as well. And then we both realized, okay, for us to actually be able to grow, we need to leave this country, just get out of our comfort zone and figure it out. And so we had saved a budget to maybe sustain 5 to 6 months of just living out. And we were super budget, right? And so that's how we went to Thailand. And then when we came back, we were towards the end of our budget. We were almost done with it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? If we're going back to corporate, let's just go all out. And if I remember right, we kind of pulled out pretty much all our savings.
Yes,
right?
we did.
And so we filmed This is Sri Lanka, renting a vehicle. I borrowed a bit of that a bit of money from my dad, and then we got a few sponsors on board as well. But none of them we didn't put cash up front, so we had to put in all the money and literally putting our entire savings to do this trip. So we figured, you know what, it'll be awesome just because we've always wanted to do this trip and we've never been able to do it because it's so hard to manage it with all your friends and stuff. And yeah, it started off with us wanting to do it initially just for Instagram as Instagram stories, because back then Shenelle had really good engagement for that. But I figured, we're doing this trip, we're spending so much of money, we might as well capitalize on it and make as much content as possible.
Yeah.
Which is why we decided let's find a videographer to film this for us, and then let's start. We were supposed to write blogs on each day basically.
But it was very hectic.
It was all
new to us.
It was all new, and we were trying different things. But yeah, it turned out. I mean, the Instagram stories itself was at the time I remember everyone was just yo, this is sick, because so many people are seeing the countries that even we as Sri Lankans weren't seeing.
Hadn't seen, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And then of course I think the video side of it really took it to another level.
I think the best decision we made was at the time, Raoul, I had emptied my savings to buy a camera, and my main goal was to buy a camera to take pictures with, because my main focus was to grow my Instagram at the time. But then when we were going on this trip, we discussed it and we were like, we're spending so much money on this. It's probably going to be like a once in a lifetime experience for us. Because at that time we're thinking, I mean, I was very hopeful to continue this work, but I know Shehaan was really like, I'm putting my all into this. We're going to do this one massive trip, and then I might have to go back to corporate. Like, he was at that mindset. So we wanted to go all out for different reasons. So we spoke, and then we came to the conclusion that it would be a huge waste to not document this for YouTube, regardless of whether or not we didn't know how to edit. We don't know anything about making a YouTube video at the time. We just knew we needed to document it. So that's when we spoke to Yashwin, who's like a very talented kid, and we were like, hey, would you like to come on board with us and help us film? And he did a wonderful job.
Yeah, he did a great job.
We did edit it, yes.
Shenelle actually learned.
I learned. It took me like months to edit it.
Yeah, editing is not the easiest thing. It's very tough. I would say editing is like 60% of the work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But see, that's another. It's a good thing, because you put yourself into these very difficult situations, and you have no you have nothing to do but to kind of like learn new things and figure out how to swim out of it
and improve on it.
Yeah, that's basically why we learned how to edit, and then now that has.
I mean, it's our livelihood.
It's our livelihood now, which is great.
Yeah, like I can relate to that, because I very recently quit working at the very tech store that a lot of people know that I worked at.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, because I left in end of April, and I've started working now with videography, and I do my cousin's vlogs and stuff like that. So it's great to work on your own and concentrate on your own creative side, and I've absolutely loved that transition. But of course, for me, I had my mom's backing, and I am her spoiled child, so she's always looked after me. But what was that initial fear like for you guys to like give it everything you guys got, that every single penny and saving, like how was that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should start off by saying that like we were ready to spend all our money, but unlike many people, we always knew, like you, we had a fallback, which was like we still live with our parents. Like worst case, we're still going to have food.
We're going to have a house.
We're going to have a house.
Yeah.
And I think the real comfort was in the fact that we both knew that like whenever we come back to Colombo, like we can always find a job. It's not like you can't find a job. Like,
and it was good that we had, like, so Shehaan had his experience and his degrees and all of that, and whereas I had modeling as a backup, and if I wanted to, I had finished my degree at the time if I wanted to, but to be honest, I had no intention whatsoever, and that is the only reason why I would empty my savings account. Raoul, to zero, and I don't recommend this for everyone. I'm not promoting such recklessness, but I do feel like that is how desperate I was to make it happen.
But I think it's also important to say, like, in the last 3 years, I think we've emptied our accounts like
multiple times,
far too many times to be countable. But I think it's also the reason why we are like continuously like in this state of like we have to do better, we have to make it happen, because like we're all in.
You're all in and nice. No looking back.
There's no looking back. Like we spend all our money on like gear and stuff, and so like we have to do something with this gear and make that money back.
So, speaking of, sorry, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. No, so as crazy as it is, like I think by having that mindset of like saying, okay, we're all in. And like being in the position where like
we have to make
you have no choice, you have to make it. We still like talk a lot about the fact that like we're just doing nothing right now. We have the camera, we have this, we're not doing anything with it, and all those things start playing up. Whereas if we just spend a little portion of our money on this and we burn like as this thing, I think we wouldn't have as much skin in the game.
Yeah. Okay. That's what's needed, I think. Or at least for us, that's what has worked,
Worked and kept you all going.
It's been the drive,
Yeah. Okay, so like you mentioned, 3 years you would have emptied your bank account multiple times. speaking of which, like, what is your duration of when did you guys start this? When did you all leave out everything? Because I know you guys from back in 2013 was when I first met you all, I think. And back then, Shenelle was working for Red Bull, and I can't remember where you were working at the time. Oh, right. Yes, I remember now. Okay, that's right. And then I remember Shenelle was also working for Dialogue at the time. After that, a little bit after that, because I was at Appit, so I used to pop into Dialogue to pay my bills and get my internet sorted out. And I used to meet Shenelle. And it's been a crazy thing to see all three of us like come out of, like, of course I'm not putting myself with you guys because you guys, I owe you guys.
Things like that.
No, but I'm being very honest. Like, I owe you guys so much when it comes to the content creation game, especially on YouTube. So it's crazy to see how far we've come. But like, just to give the viewers an idea of how long it's taken or when you started, like, when did you guys start? When was this is Sri Lanka that took off?
So I would say the seeds were planted in our minds in 2017. This was at the time when Shehaan is working at Harpo's and I had my own cold pressed juice business. And we took a year from 2016 to 17. We saved and planned this 1 month trip. So we had no intention of dropping everything. I had a business, like I was saying, that is what I wanted to do at the time. And we went on this trip and we came back and we were just mind boggled after coming back to Colombo, because 1 month abroad in that situation, after you meet so many people like this, I think that's when the seeds were planted.
Yeah.
But for another year, we were just like back and forth thinking about it. How can we do it? Planning. And then I think in 2018 was when we really were like, okay, now we're going to do it. We had both reached this point where we were just like, we wanted to take the risk and dive into the deep end.
Yeah, and I think even though everyone here knows us, so this is Sri Lanka and that's been our most successful work.
Yeah.
That is not really it's still not going to be what we do. As much as we will always promote Sri Lanka, the whole thing was that we wanted to be able to travel all around the world. And this was the way to kind of get us there. Yeah. So even us investing all this gear and stuff, it was so that we could go to other hotels and places abroad and be able to negotiate deals and hopefully get paid by these hotels to work there. And that was kind of how we thought about it always. And in terms of the journey, we took it one step at a time. At the time, it was just so let's say if we started with This is Sri Lanka, because before that it was all trips that we just documented. But This is Sri Lanka was the first time we kind of brought in some brands and we were trying to make ends meet, but still do this campaign.
Yeah.
And then when we finished that, we had just a little bit more and we were okay, let's buy articles to Bali and let's end it after Bali, right?
Yeah.
And in our minds, we were okay, that's it. We're done from here.
Shenelle almost choked on your water.
Yeah.
Huh?
You almost choked on your water.
Yeah. So in my mind, I was just you know what, this is it. We're not going beyond this now. Let's go all out again. And then one thing after the other came. Straight after the This is Sri Lanka series, we got called by Cinnamon to film with Miss World. And then that really opened our eyes up and we were whoa.
We can do this.
We can do this.
Yeah.
Let's invest more. Let's get our own stuff. Let's learn to do all this ourselves. Because we realized we got to work with some really professional industry leaders.
Yeah.
And we watched them and we were we could do that too. It's not we were directing the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was great to know that a big company like Cinnamon at the time wished for us to creatively direct their campaign, which meant that they saw something that
y'all oversaw.
Yeah, fun fact. Our first ever paid project with the corporate was to direct and produce, both of which we had never done before, Miss World for Sri Lanka tourism after Easter.
And it was frightening.
Imagine the stakes, right?
Yeah.
We never directed. And then we put it to direct Miss World, okay? With no experience. But it's when you're in that situation, it's just what do? You can't do anything. You just have to make it happen.
I read an interesting quote actually that applied to that situation. It said that when you're presented with an opportunity that is a really good opportunity, but you're scared and you don't know like how you might deal with it, and it's something you never. But it was, I think, by Richard Branson. He said, just say yes and figure out how to do it later on. Because don't be on the back foot about saying yes, because it's a good opportunity. You need to take it. Just say yes and figure out how you're going to do it later.
I think that's a very good quote for all those aspiring to be content creators, and I think I need to like memorize that myself, because it's I mean, being a content creator, especially in a very toxic community that we are in, I'm not going to disregard that fact. Like, there are so many toxic people out here. It's very hard to keep your motivation and your inspiration going. So I would definitely want that quote, and I hope that everyone, whoever is watching this and listening to this, actually takes that into their mind, because that's very important to keep going, at least in times. Speaking of times, I mean, of course it's affecting y'all. You guys are locked down. All of us were locked down for a long time. Today I traveled for the first time out of my house, got this brand new chair,
Nice.
met a friend, and got some stuff done before I came here for the podcast. So how has travel restrictions affected y'all from last year to this year?
It's obviously we can't do our weekly travel vlogs. That has been something, but we were anyway. The timing was kind of okay for us, because we had other work planned that was gonna anyway make us take 1 month off travel anyways. So we were prepared for that, and we had work that was paying us for that month. Beyond that month, once we completed that work, which is now complete, we are now working on small videos for the channel as well, and of course we have like some income that comes through Instagram as well. So it's been okay, but we definitely, I feel like the momentum of the growth of the channel.
So last time after the lockdown, like, we set out to do all of this, and the channel hadn't really like gone viral per se. Like,
kicked off.
It hadn't really kicked off. And like, we just kept going, like week after week after week, and like
blindly,
like, it was so demotivating to see, like, we spent so much of time and so much of money, and then you just get like 2,000, 3,000 views, and you're just like, what is going on?
I like how you're just like 2,000, 3,000 views, and I'm here like 100, 50, 20, or like. I like how but this is like my financial situation, where I take out my wallet 20 like I'm at 60 rupees, let's go. But I like how you throw around those numbers.
Well, you're gonna feel the same way in another year or two. You're gonna look back and refer to this time as like the time, because honestly, as creators, like, it's the hardest time. There's no doubt about it. It's like building that first 5,000. And then after that, 10,000, it's the hardest time, and like it's more mental game to be able to just say, no, it doesn't matter, we're just going to keep going, keep going.
And that's why we like constantly keep like pulling you up, and you're like where are videos.
Yeah, I know.
Consistency is absolutely key, and sometimes you have to be consistent and see no rewards. And I always tell Shehaan, it was simply like shouting into a void. You're just screaming, and then you hear nothing back, and you're just like, is this even worth it? And then one day the void will just scream back at you, and you just need to have faith that that's going to happen. And then when it does, all your videos that have 100 views right now will also benefit from it. So that's why it's important to create that backlog of good content, because when that one video that goes viral and brings you the subscribers come, the subscribers are more likely to subscribe because of the fact that they see, oh my God, he has a ton of other really good content as well. Let me just subscribe to him so I can come back and watch all of this later. And that's why you do it.
It needs to be relatable. I think like the channel also, like, for instance, anyone who comes into a channel is coming because they have an interest for travel. And they watch one video, and then they like watch the second video, and it is just as good, and it is something completely new. Right? And then they realize, oh shit, okay, the third video, same thing. So as a result, then there's this like sense of like, oh, okay, this is what these guys are for, so they want to come into it. Which is why, like, even with your thing, like, okay, yours is brands, but like you need to keep like whatever, even if you completely change it, you need to still hold some of those bits in there.
I think it's Raoul's personality and then a few things like how you're honest about what you're saying, and I would say it's your personality that's the recurring thing that people would keep coming back for.
Yeah, but in all honesty, sorry, English is failing me right now. In all honesty, I've actually considered moving away from rants, and I'm actually going to put out a video talking about that I'm moving out of rants, because I felt like do give your opinions on this, because I felt like I bring too much emotion into YouTube that shouldn't be the factor for YouTube.
Okay.
Like I understand that Instagram, yes, you can bring emotions and stuff like that in, but content on YouTube, I don't think the YouTube community is more recipient towards like emotions, like especially rants. I think rants would have done a lot better on Instagram than on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you should continue it still on YouTube. I mean on Instagram.
Yeah, I think you need to think about like the audience also, right? Because like on Instagram, there's a big audience in Colombo that these brands are kind of appropriate to. On YouTube, not so much, right? Like on YouTube, people aren't really there for that. They're there to
they're not. They're more. I feel like more people on YouTube are. I mean, people are more on YouTube to like relax and enjoy some good quality content rather than some guy just ranting about his life issues or what he came across, right? So,
but the good thing is, there is such a like fine niche that those few people that do follow you for that are like hardcore followers, which is a good thing. Like that's the flip side of looking at it.
Yeah,
okay,
that's for true. Yeah.
This is a podcast where you ask us questions, but now I'm curious and I have a question for you. So, what is your new idea for content for the YouTube channel?
So right now, I am doing more lifestyle vlogs. It's more of me, and I am like I spoke to you guys privately, and I said I wanted to do a video of your studio and how you guys work. It's more of stuff like that. It's more of featuring people. So I want to feature art by Shafia. I want to feature different people and different backgrounds and what they do.
That's very interesting.
I wanted to. Yeah, I have another friend who does 3D printing at home, and he makes a lot of stuff, right? So he's offered to make me a lot of Star Wars replicas and stuff like that. So I want to do like a Peter McKinnon kind of vlog on how Peter did the Good Leatherworks guy. So I want to do stuff like that and feature people, and I want to bring out more, how do you say, promotion to those people who deserve it, that's where I want to go and do more lifestyle vlogs for sure, and talk about my life rather than being ranty about everything.
To be honest, I think that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah
I think you should like run with it and just like start pushing out the content.
My only piece of advice is, while you're creating that, like try to think of like how you can take that and cater it to the international market as well.
Yeah.
Because like one thing people get really wrong about YouTube, and especially like Sri Lankans, and I'm not dissing like any of the Sinhalese content creators or like any of the Sri Lankan content creators who are creating just for the Sinhalese market, the Sri Lankan market. But that is not what you should be using this platform for. Like, for one, you're not going to earn much by doing that, because the Sri Lankan market is tiny and AdSense is even more tinier, so you're not going to be like motivated to keep growing. And then secondly, like, especially if you're speaking in English, you're like talking to maybe like 2 million people at most.
At most, in Colombo, exactly.
At most. That is like really, really hoping for a good day. But then like that's it, right? But if you were able to take stories of Sri Lankans and cater it to a way that it would be of interest to anyone in the world wanting to find out about these sort of people, like about Sri Lankans, or just about like interesting things people are doing from home in like developing nations, right?
Yeah.
There you're now talking to a much bigger audience and you have a much higher chance of like going viral
and reaching a target audience also that is not just Colombo based or Sri Lanka based. Yeah.
Colombo based, Sri Lanka based, as great as it is.
I mean, that's a good topic you brought up, because I wanted to ask you guys, what was your motivation, your initial motivation to start an English channel? Because I know for a fact that even if I speak in Sinhalese, in the most broken sense ever on Instagram. I'll get a lot of people who don't even message me usually, who will message me and say, the way you talk Sinhalese is really amazing, even though it's broken. Please keep pushing out Sinhalese content. So I know for a fact there's a huge market there. And what made you guys like move away from that and be more comfortable speaking the language that you're comfortable?
To be honest, I wanted to start a YouTube channel, Raoul, because I'm somebody who consumed a lot of YouTube when I was growing up. I learned and absorbed a lot of information through YouTube. And for me, I always, how do I say this? I wanted to do it. I really liked the idea of having a channel and sharing like some kind of information or something to help people, just like the way that I had also learned and been helped by the content. But I always imagined myself doing it in English because I knew I wanted to reach like a wider audience, not just Sri Lanka. And also, I do think that because I studied in English, that I would be able to converse better and share my ideas better in English. Then when it came time for us to actually talk about this channel and all, we did think about it, right? We did think about it.
It was so tempting.
It was very tempting because...
So, I don't know if many people know, but like we did travel, I think, maybe before Travel with Wife and them started, right? We were traveling around before. Okay. But at the same time, we saw Travel with Wife starting.
Overnight, just boom.
Overnight, they boomed. And we were watching this and we were just like, holy shit. Like, you know.
The Sinhala speaking market is hungry for that content and they love it. But the only thing is, we thought that after Travel with Wife, we saw a bunch of other travel content creators coming up, and then immediately we got this idea that this would be a great way for us to differentiate ourselves and not do the same thing. But also in terms of being able to grow, we always knew we wanted to tell the story of Sri Lanka and also tell our story, whatever way, to the world in English.
And also in terms of like, so our strategy, I mean, we're still working on it. Like, even though like at the moment, like it's good for us here in Sri Lanka, our strategy is to go international, right? What hotel in Thailand or Vietnam or like anywhere in the world is going to want a bunch of Sri Lankan Sinhalese speaking YouTubers to come and promote their place?
It's very tiny,
right? It's tiny, and like what percentage of the people we talk to here are really going to go all the way to Vietnam?
Go all the way there, exactly.
Whereas doing it this way, we are able to, I mean, when we do get the chance to go out, we're able to talk to a much bigger market, we're able to offer a much better service to
and it just comes back to the fact that our main purpose when we were leaving our jobs was we wanted to travel the world. And we thought if we had a YouTube channel that speaks to the world, then perhaps we can, like make you said, make it happen. That was the initial thing. So doing the channel in English was never really like, I don't know, for me at least, I never really thought twice about it because like I said, I wanted to create content like the stuff that I consumed and I consumed the English content. And
we did think like really hard.
Midway, we were like,
should we do Sinhalese? Because like we saw it, we knew it. Like even when we did the first This is Sri Lanka series, at that point, there were so many comments, so many people telling us like, why aren't you doing this in Sinhalese? And like, honestly, had we done it, like right now, our following and all of that would be much bigger.
Much bigger.
Way bigger. And like in terms of brands and stuff, we'd be able to get a lot more in Sri Lanka. But again, there is a cap we're going to come to with that. Whereas here, we are just like
long game.
It's a long game, and we've just maybe scratched the surface. Still.
Yeah,
we're still not there.
I mean, I wouldn't say that the community which wants Sinhalese content is toxic. I wouldn't say that. I'm not saying that. But I have a friend who we are trying to get on for one of our next episodes alongside Mania. We're trying to get on Dhaka, who is a streamer. He's a shoutcaster, right? And he studied at Royal College, and his mom's an English teacher. So at home, they all speak, English. Yeah. And when he streams, because he used to stream for another gaming organization, one of the main gaming organizations in Sri Lanka, and he used to stream in Sinhalese back then. But when he quit, he started changing back into the language that he was comfortable with. And the people who followed him from there to his current personal profile always seem to ask him, like, why are you speaking in English? Now you're posh. Now, why do you
Oh,
have
we
this
get
posh
loads
English?
of those comments.
Yeah. How do you guys
Lots
deal
of.
with that?
At first, it was a bit, you see, Shehaan is much more adept and much better, I would say, at handling these kind of comments. Whereas I am a little bit more sensitive, but so because of him, I've learned to like see these comments for what they are, which is to not take it personally. But we definitely do get a lot of this. Oh, if you weren't trying to be so posh, your channel would have way more views by now, and this and that.
Yeah.
We also get the occasional kalusuddo, which is like we're trying to be like white. Yeah. And I don't know what it is, but I do feel like it's a little unfair to judge people based on the language they speak, because we have a very extensive history of colonization, and that colonization has led to English being, a language that certain people still use as a primary language.
Yeah.
And I went to an international school, so I learned in English as my first language. So I don't see anything wrong with it. To be honest, it's unfair, I believe, to characterize somebody as posh or not Sri Lankan enough based on the language they speak, because it is just a medium of communication. You can't judge my heart and how I feel about my country based on the language. I think I'm very passionate about Sri Lanka, and I want like my island to be like kept in the best light, and I want to do the best I can for my country. But I feel like the lack of certain people's ability to see that, I mean, we really can't do anything about that.
Yeah,
we just
for sure. I mean, you guys...
And you shouldn't really have to bother about it, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's...
what would your advice be to people starting up, even being content creators and speaking in the language they are more comfortable with, whether it's English, Sinhalese, or Tamil, or any other language, for getting hate for speaking in their language? What would your advice be?
Don't fall for peer pressure.
Yeah, my advice is, the second you start getting hate, that's a good sign. We did this for so long and we weren't getting hate and we weren't growing. The day we started getting hate was the day we were growing. And I always tell Shenelle that the second you start getting hate, it means you're doing something right. People are noticing you. People either don't like you because you're doing something they can't do, or people just don't like the fact that you're doing something that other people want to see.
Right? I mean, he makes it like spins it in a wonderful way.
The day you start getting hate is the day you start growing.
It's the day that you know that you're doing something. Because I think you get hate when your content is being like
consumed,
spiraled out of your regular exposure level to like a much newer audience.
Not to say that like just keep doing things to get hate. No, right? That's wrong. Like, obviously, there are lots of
many people who do that.
And like
that's wrong. Yeah.
Short term, that's what I think of that. Like they're only just thinking, oh yeah, let me just grow on this trend.
Let me just piss a few people off,
and like this will be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I want to add two things to that, right? On your take of hate. No, I know where you want to go with this. I know.
No. I have a very simple question with regards to refreshments.
Yes, that's what I said. I know where you want to go with this. Let's crack into that, and let's not go with our original plan. Let's just skip it. Because I feel like this is a great conversation, and if we go with our original plan, it's just going to go downhill from there.
Yeah. Let's just leave it. You can have some water.
No. Let's switch on to something a bit.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You don't have to do that. Stop.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Why not? So
Cheers,
whole point of being a content creator, right? And especially when you're young, when you're starting out, I think the best part, like for instance, Shenelle and I, we always talk about this. Shenelle's brand is now a brand that we need to like think twice about, like something we do, because like you need to stay
I think
correct.
Yeah, once you grow, there are a lot of people trying to look at what tiny mistakes you do to cancel you.
Everything.
People forget that you're human, and just because you have a following doesn't mean that you are perfect. That's why I refuse to call myself an influencer, because I feel like I'm just a mere human being sharing my life and whatever good positive things I can. So there'll be times when I make mistakes, I just don't feel like it's fair to cancel a whole person.
That's a very good point that you brought up. Why you don't call yourself an influencer? Now, me personally, I always go out and say, no, I am an influencer, and I live by that because I feel like personally, I feel like I am making an impact on a very positive mindset and mental health, and I feel like that is what an influencer should be, more than just be like, oh, you know, this place sent me food, you know, try this out, which is what is now going as the word influence, and there's a bad stigma behind it, right? And I also publicly indulge in alcohol and, you know, cigarettes, and a lot of people have asked me like, why do you do that? You know, you should, you have a following. And I keep telling all these people who personally message me with all this information, I keep telling them like, look, just because I have a public profile and I have this following doesn't mean that I should make it look like I'm perfect. I want everyone to understand that every one of us have our own faults. We have our own ways of coping with them and escaping some realities with that. And therefore, I want people to also understand that just because we indulge in alcohol or tobacco doesn't mean we are bad people. Because there's a huge stigma behind that that needs to change, in my opinion.
Yeah. Definitely, I think that's a refreshing way to look at it, for sure.
Yeah. And coming back to the other two questions I wanted to ask you, one was on how you spin hate coming in, and how you say when you're definitely getting hate, you're definitely growing. So I would want to put in an inappropriate comment right here. You guys know this is coming because you guys have been my friend for a long, long time. So you know that I have been getting fatherly hate from the age of 6, so I've been growing since then. But yes, speaking of which, like Shenelle, you brought up a fact of you wanting to bring out the best of Sri Lanka and make this island a beautiful place. Now, coming to that topic, Shehaan is the pioneer behind a very special project that I really like and I support, and I feel really bad. Personally, I feel bad because I don't wake up on time for all this. But Shehaan has a page for you guys who did not know, which cleans up a portion of Vellavatta beach from all its garbage, right? And the page goes as It's Vella Beach. And he's been doing this for the last 1.5 years, if I'm correct? Yeah? What was your reason? I know you live very, very close by. It's a walking distance for you. But what made you go after that?
So it was really self-development. So from the time we quit our jobs, I've like been on this thing of like wanting to maximize my time and like maximize the amount of things I get done. And it started off with me just like, I used to, anyway, even as a kid, I used to go to the beach to work out. Like I used to run there and stuff, and like, I love it. It's therapeutic running next to the ocean. It's another level. Like people don't understand that, especially if you live in a city. Like how often do you hear the beach?
For me, my idea of running on the beach is always when I was drunk, and I wouldn't call it therapeutic at that moment in my life. But yes, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, what I did was I also got onto this habit of like listening to audiobooks, and what I figured was morning run plus audiobook is like a really good use of half an hour or 1 hour. And then I noticed how dirty the beach was, and then how there were these cleanups, and then it gets dirty again. And I've been seeing this for a long time, and I've been thinking about it from the time of, like, maybe I was 18, 19. I've always looked at it and been like, what a shame. Like, look at our beach. It's crap. Like, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Until one day, like, I posted about it. And so many people were just like, oh, it's such a shame. This government won't do anything, blah, blah, blah. And it was then I was like, you know what? Like, okay, the government's not going to do anything. Like, I'll just clean up like half an hour.
Yeah.
Just for that day. Like, you know, that was it initially.
To end off your morning.
To end off my morning in a good way. Like, I mean, by 8:30 I'm done. I've run. I've listened to like 40 minutes of an audiobook. And I've also like cleaned up a bit, which just makes you feel good. And then I decided, okay, let me Instagram this and like show people what I'm doing. Hopefully that, like, you know, I'll be able to encourage more people.
Get more people to do this, yeah.
Yeah. And that was really how it started. Like, and then the beautiful thing about Isvela Beach, the thing that like people don't realize much about, but the thing that I'm like really trying to harness into like all the work we do and grow on is the fact that it is completely community sourced. Even the ideas, lots of the ideas, right? So like we painted a wall, we did stills, we did just all these crazy things. Some of them were my ideas, but lots of them were just community sourced. Just like put it up on Instagram, and then someone said, "Hey, we should do this. Hey, you should talk to these guys." And then it's just like super easy because all you have to do is just connect the dots. And like, thankfully, like my Instagram space, even though it's just like a really small space, thankfully it is with a bunch of like-minded people who are like looking for ways to kind of hack the system and find ways to get things done. So like. Like I kid you not, we were able to run like Isvela Beach in its first year, like with all the projects and everything we did, was like at least $1 million worth of like sponsorships and resources put in. All of that through just like a 2,000 following Instagram page.
Yeah, I mean, I tell that to a lot of people who are aspiring to be content creators and or people who think that numbers are a huge thing, especially when it comes to content creators. I keep telling them like, look, numbers don't mean anything. And even this is why I call myself an influencer, is because I believe in, even if you have one person following you, you are an influence on that person, that they want to watch your content, right? So it's all about the engagement you have with your audience and how good you give information to that audience, right? So I really like how you came up with Isvela Beach, and it came really, really far, and it's still going on really far, even up to the point where the government is now working with you, right? If I'm correct, yeah?
Yeah.
To a certain point. Dude, that's, you have to, I don't know if you realize it, but that's bloody crazy. Like for both of y'all, for you, Shehaan, Isvela Beach brings you government backing in a certain way, and for your travel blogs, the government, the tourism board also help you guys. Like they are there for you guys.
The tourism board does not help us. Let's just be clear on that.
But we have interacted with them.
We interact with them and we do work for them, but in no ways are we being helped. Because help would be them promoting our work or them acknowledging our work or something on those lines.
Yeah.
It's a very different situation, but yeah.
Sorry. I think sorry, I worded it wrong. Yeah.
No, but we are, I mean, we're not complaining. We're privileged to be able to work with the tourism board. That's not something you get straight away, which is a good thing.
Yeah, but definitely, especially in our country with our language, our national language not being English, right?
Yeah.
But I am definitely rooting for you guys, and I want you guys to get to that point where like you guys go to a specific place, do a video or take a picture of this specific place in Sri Lanka, and you get a coin printed of it. Imagine getting coin done like Peter McKinnon got. Like,
dude, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really awesome. And I'm definitely rooting for you guys to push out and get to that level and more, right?
Thank you.
But little known facts about you guys, like a lot of people know you guys as content creators on Instagram and YouTube. I want to bring up a little bit of your past because I know you guys in your past. Although Shenelle and I met because my girlfriend at the time was working with you at Red Bull, and you guys were giving out free Red Bull, and I was the happiest, right? We also met on a game.
Yes.
And that game is known as Dota 2. And for a lot of people, that'll be very surprising. Would you like to tell me how the two of you guys got into like Dota 2 and was playing?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I have not played any kind of like online games like that, so I was very, very new to it. Maybe around 2014, right?
Yeah,
maybe 2014.
Yes, it was about 2014, yeah.
Yeah, Shehaan and his friends have played the game in their school days.
Like from the time we were gamers from the time you were like 11.
But they all like moved away from the game as they grew older, and then there was a specific reason why we started playing the game again. if you wish to share.
Yeah,
so
I wanted to, I forgot because I really wanted to ask you if you guys are comfortable bringing that up. Because
no,
I think that is a very
it's okay.
nice story
It does
behind
shine
it.
a light on somewhat of a positive side of gaming, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
first of all of us, all our friends, from the time we were in school as kids, from the time we were 11, like we started with Red Alert, Counter-Strike, Warcraft, Dota, all those games, right? So we started in like Mindhit and all of those places, and then eventually...
Yeah, of course, I've been there.
Yeah, like Arena came around, and there were all these other platforms, and then like all of us kind of phased out of it when we all started working and we were more into like drinking and just stuff. And then part of the reason we phased out of it was because you couldn't play Dota or Warcraft on a Mac.
Right.
And then suddenly it was...
Then suddenly like one of our friends was like, dude, there's this thing called Steam and you can install it there and you can play it. So you're like, oh, okay, let's try this.
Yeah.
Dabbling in it.
And so we were dabbling with this, and I was with Shenelle at the time. And the girls like came and they'd watch us play.
It was getting really hectic, right? Because we were like, oh, okay, they're playing a game, like, FIFA, no big deal. And I didn't play FIFA either, right? Like I said, I was not into the games as such. And then like one day they were playing the whole day, and I was like, okay, fine, this just one day, they're just into the game again. Second day, third day, and then after a while, the girls, there were 5 of us as well. We were just looking at each other. We're like, what the hell is going on? We're just sitting and staring at each other. They don't talk to anybody anymore. And we tried looking at this game for like hours, and I don't understand anything. And so we made like a council decision. We spoke to each other. We were like, we need to learn how to play this game. Otherwise, we won't have anything else to do. And we were like, we have laptops and stuff.
I absolutely adore that decision because a lot of other people I know for a fact would have gone the complete opposite way of that. And been like, you know what, these guys don't deserve us or something like that. And just...
We were extremely curious because we were like, dude, how can something be so, like, take so much
entertaining?
We would speak to them and not get any response. And we were like, what could be so, and then one of them was like, okay, so you need 5 people per team. So there's 5 of you. You guys can play one team and learn, and you all play with bots and y'all can learn. And we were like, okay, cool, whatever, we'll try. Because we're like, okay, fine, there's 5 of us. All 5 of us don't have anything to do. So let's try it out. That's how we kind of started playing. By no means we were trying to get into it seriously.
Yeah.
We were just trying to pass the time.
Yeah. And also, like, going back to the question, like, why it also happened was at that point, like, we lost 2 of our really close friends, like, part of our crew.
In a car accident.
And it was the first time for, I think, all of us that we lost anyone, like, really close. And it was traumatic because we were with them the day before playing Dota. And then the next morning we got this call and it was just like it was messed up.
It's unexpected and it's like a young person.
When you're young and like this thing is super unexpected. And at that point for all of us, like the only escape we had from what had just happened was to play Dota.
1 hour at a time.
Yeah.
So every single day, like our routine for like maybe 3 months, we go to our friend's house because like that used to be our hangout spot as well. We'd be there with the mom and the family for a bit. And then we leave that place and we go to another friend's house and we play Dota until like 6 in the morning. Until like you're like...
You can't stay awake.
You can't stay. And I kid you not, every day we play till 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Every single day. Because we couldn't like going home and like having to think about what happened was just...
Yeah, being alone was not going to help. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we just gamed until we were just like zombies. And then we just went home, slept. As you wake up again, we meet, and like it was. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like it helped.
It helped because
the entire situation.
I think with boys also and with trauma is that I think they didn't know how to communicate and talk to each other about it, but they also really wanted to be close to everybody else who was close to these 2 brothers as well. Yeah. And so it helped for them to be together. With people who understood their pain, but also to be able to like tune out and like hyper focus on something for 1 hour, and then you take like a little break and you keep doing that. I mean, the game is fun also, right?
Yeah.
So
you can play forever.
You can be. It is addictive on its own.
I quit Dota about 4 years back. I'm not gonna lie. And I very recently, if you guys have been on Steam,
I saw
very
you.
recently,
Yeah,
like 2-3 days ago, I was out there playing Dota again, playing Bloodseeker, playing Queen of Pain, and like rupturing people and screaming at people. Yeah, exactly, right. And I was having fun with it, but for me, when I first heard the story, because I was curious as to why you guys went with 3 initials or 3 letters, as your clan name back then. So I asked Shenelle, I messaged Shenelle and I asked her, like, what is the meaning of this? This is like after about a year of it going into my head and me always thinking, like, what does this mean? Right. So after about a year, I decided I'll ask. Right. And ever since then, ever since I heard the story, that touched me really, really close to my heart, or like deep in my heart is the word I would say. And I have never forgotten that story. And I think that's one of the most positive sides of gaming, because we either connect with people through gaming or we remember people through gaming. And I think a lot of people think of gaming as a very bad thing. But they don't realize how effective and helpful gaming can be also.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. This is a fine example.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it would have been such a different situation for us back then if we weren't in that. Like, it would have been, I can't imagine what it would have been like actually.
Yeah.
Really helped us.
It would have definitely been harder to
a lot harder
to handle it.
And yeah, gaming is awesome. I just wish all these platforms and like all this hype around gaming was there back when we were in school.
When we were there,
so
right?
So like our parents wouldn't be like, "Oh, you're just wasting time. You're not going to do anything.
You're not going to make money by
You're
gaming."
not going to make money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
you might not be travel bloggers.
It might have changed. You never know, because I honestly started gaming when my dad, left, and it's been 22 years since then. And I've been gaming for 22 years. So I've been playing like Commandos, Age of Empires, and all that. And I've got here now playing Apex Legends and Dota, being champions in Overwatch, Intermercantile, and all of that, right? But it's like I said in our first episode of the podcast, it's not been an easy journey. Like, my mom will come in and she'll look at me and be like, especially during Dota times, like 2014, 15, she'd look at me and be like, just pause this damn game and come, help in the house. Yeah, or help in the house or do something. And I'm like, this is an online game. You can't pause this, right?
Yeah.
Now the only complaint my mom gives is that the fact that I'm a bit too loud when I'm screaming at my teammates, and she's worried that the neighbors will hear. But other than that, like, she's so understanding now, and I'm so grateful for that. And I like how, while I was working at the tech store, I like how more parents are more understanding and more open, even at the point where they don't understand it, they're more open to learn about it.
Yeah.
When they come
to
buy.
I want to ask you a question that will possibly help a lot of other kids who are starting out or wanting to start out.
For sure.
What are the chance? How easy is it, or how doable is it to monetize gaming today as a professional gamer in Sri Lanka?
Okay, this is not a question you should give me. This is a question that should actually go to our next guest that is coming on to one of those podcasts, because he is one of those people who are doing that.
No.
But
I'm not talking about a guy who's doing it. I'm talking about like how doable is it? Like, even when we started, it wasn't possible, but like we knew it could be done in the same way. Like, what's it like?
For example, now I don't stream anymore because I'm having a CPU bottleneck issue right now. And of course, my graphics card is powerful and it does its work, but my CPU is like, I can't handle that, right? So even when I'm rendering videos, my CPU is at 100% and my graphics card is only at like 18%. And my graphics card is like, this is nothing. But my CPU is like, this is a lot. Like, I'm going to die any moment.
What are you rendering on?
I render on an 8th Gen i5. It's an 8500.
But
it's a very slow.
Okay, but you're rendering on Premiere? Like
Premiere Pro.
And with graphics, you get the new thing, right?
No, but the thing is, it depends.
Yeah,
Depending on the Premiere Pro you're running, the newer ones have been updated the software to make use of your graphics
Graphics
card.
card.
Whereas
Okay.
all the Premiere Pros don't really utilize it to the best. So you can try updating your Premiere Pro. Are you using 2020?
2019. අපි ඔයාගේ නෙවේ හරිද අපි මේ
Yeah,
පොඩ්ඩක්
we are using 2019.
පයිරට් කළ එක හැක් මේ වහල පයිරට් කරපු softwares තමයි use කරන්නේ, okay?
අපි තේම තමයි.
I mean, to be honest, I would love to support the company. Yeah, I mean, I would love to support the company, but I can't afford to support that company, right?
But yeah, when you come to a point where you can if you want to, which is what
Of
I
course.
tell myself.
Yeah,
And
of
also,
course.
it's not easy to get it here.
Isn't it just an online download?
No,
You
it's
pay
like a bit
monthly?
No, you need to open up an account, which is a complicated thing. But yeah, it's doable. But the problem is, like, in comparison to what you get paid here, like, you can't even factor the cost of like your editing suite into your project.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? People like ask you twice when you're like, oh, I need to factor in the cost of storing your footage. They're like, oh, but no, we don't need footage. We don't need data. That's your problem. But like, no,
I know.
There's a cost there.
I know. Yeah, for sure. I understand your pain a lot there. But going back to the question about monetization of gaming. So my friends, they stream on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. My friend on Facebook recently got his stars. So he's getting his Facebook stars. And I don't really know the numbers, but each star is a value of certain dollars. 0 point dollars, you know.
Okay.
So in that way, Facebook is very friendly on helping you monetize your gaming. YouTube is a bit harder because again you have to go through the monetization process of getting like 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers minimum. But yeah, it's a little bit tough. It's the same as the YouTube game for any other program, I guess, where you have to reach a certain goal to start earning from that. So it's not a overnight thing for sure. I mean, and especially gaming content, or actually thinking about it, any content in particular, you have to have a unique selling point, right? So you have to have either the skill or you have to have the personality to back it up, right? So if you don't have the skill, you need to have the personality. If you don't have the personality, you need to have the skill. So people with both do really well, like really, really well. But it's still a huge grind and a huge curve to get to that monetization state when it comes to gaming.
But in terms
it's
of brand,
not unattainable.
Brand endorsements, things like that. Are there brands like, for instance, like, would one of the computer companies, like the brands in Sri Lanka, be willing to sponsor a gamer right now?
Or are they not aware of the benefit of it yet?
No, they are aware. So the company I was working for earlier was pushing content out, was giving out monetary amounts towards their streamers that they had under them. Daka, who is going to be on the next episode, was one of those streamers.
Right.
And there are companies that are looking at it. There are companies such as global brands such as Asus and Gigabyte who were informed of these particular streamers, who was interested in giving them merchandise as well as monetary, values. Merchandise going from keyboards to mice to graphics cards to anything, right? And it came to a point where even one of those brands that I mentioned was all out to give a couple of the same model to a streamer and was like, he can do a giveaway if he wants to his fans. It came to that point, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so it's come a long way from where we started, from where it's been frowned upon to where it is now, which is an amazing thing.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
It's my childhood dream.
To be a gamer?
Just, to be able to live gaming. That was all we wanted to do when we were in school.
I think it is a lot of our childhood dreams, especially, I mean, even for me now, I would, like you said how you stayed up till 6 o'clock in the morning and you were like gaming. during that time, and I'm here listening to you, and I'm just like, that's me now. Like nothing's changed, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's come a long way, like we said. And coming back to like Dota, have you guys played anything else other than Dota recently?
I played Fortnite for a while when I got my
He was getting sucked into it.
I got super sucked into it. But that was last quarantine. So I got I basically straight out of quarantine, I was like, I'm going to learn to edit, so I need a good desktop for it. So I bought like a Ryzen PC with a 2060 Super.
Yeah.
60, like the works. And the first thing I did, like, obviously could edit. First thing I did, like, I need to see how well this performs.
Let me play some gaming.
let me play some Fortnite. Oh crap! Yeah. I wasn't editing for like the next month.
Oh wow! Like, okay. As long as it doesn't hinder your work, it should be fine. But like,
there's no way. I mean, I'd love to meet a guy who knows to game and like
work.
The thing is, it depends on the kind of work. Okay? Let's say that I'm going to give you some real advice, bro. If you're into editing, okay? Editing is the kind of work that, like, even beyond your usual editing hours, the more time you spend learning about editing, the better you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right? So, if you're doing something like that, you can't game. Like, gaming is a waste because you're not fully going behind. Like, if what you want to do is be a proper editor, you can't do that. I mean, you can, but you won't do it as fast as someone like me would do it because you would still be gaming. Whereas I am only doing that and learning. Yeah.
Okay, so let's hope my mom doesn't watch this podcast.
Yeah, this is where all those self-help productivity books have come in, and it's just like every minute that you spend sleeping is like you're falling behind. Not really, that's an exaggeration, but that's kind of basically why he stopped.
I stopped gaming because
or even watching anything, right?
Yeah, I have no Netflix account. I deleted Netflix like 2 or 3 years ago. I do not watch any movies. If you check my YouTube, it is either self-development or camera or anything. That's it. So my entire time is that. The only time that I waste time, that I consider wasted time, is when I'm on Instagram. Because I end up checking a bunch of unnecessary things. But my point is like, if you really want to be good at something, you need to be able to commit to it. If you want to be a really crazy gamer, I'm sure if you ask any of the crazy gamers, they spend every single minute of the day gaming. Right?
Yeah, of course.
Story. If you want to be a really good editor or a really good director or a really good whatever, you need to be like so engrossed in it that you spend all your time doing that. And like I wish I could have found a way to like merge gaming and together so that it makes sense. But like,
but you also have to highlight the fact that he knows himself and he knows that given the opportunity to watch Netflix, he will binge it. Yeah. Given the opportunity to play a game, he will choose to play more as opposed to. So he has like analyzed himself and he decided, okay, this is what I want to do, and that's really great. Like that you can do that, cut it off completely. And maybe
for sure to be able to do something like that is crazy because I for a fact know that I have a slight gaming addiction. I'm only saying only a little bit, okay guys, 20 hours a day is not a lot, okay? But if you can cut it off, that's great because I have never been able to do that. I did sell my graphics card off at one point to get into studies and finish my AP degree. But when that happened, I switched over to movies and it didn't help, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely understand that dedication that you put in, and I commend that. Like it's crazy for you to be able to do that.
And not to take away like the time you've invested in your gaming, like you've invested so much time in it now
that you're building something.
That it would be a waste not to build on it, right?
Okay.
So like for instance, what you're doing now, like you're editing, you're learning to edit, but you're editing around something around gaming. So you're bringing your experience, like.
And if the opportunity does present itself to you, you have the experience and the knowledge and the know-how about gaming, or like to take it. So I would say that it's still in good.
Definitely. Like, I think the both of us believe in this thing that like whatever we do it knowing that like that experience will be of value to us in the future as well. So like every industry I've worked in, I have found a way to bring in something I've learned from each of those industries into what we're doing now. Same with Shenelle. And in the same way, I feel that even a gamer today, like especially someone who is as passionate about gaming as you, should look at it in that same way. Like, okay, I love gaming. I've spent the better half of the last 2 decades gaming. I have to find ways of making that time I spent work for me.
And what I see is that like even if you were to become like one of those guys who watch the live games and do the commentary of it on YouTube, that is you combining your gaming knowledge and editing.
And your ranting.
Yeah, if you were to review games and your rant, see, so there are lots of possibilities, and I'm sure at some point an idea will come to you which will be able to be an amalgamation of everything that you have spent your time on. So just it's what he did is not like what do you say, like a general script that everyone should follow.
It's not a hard fact that you know.
And I didn't see the fit. Like as much as I loved gaming when I was younger, I just didn't see the fit.
And there was that gap in time that you didn't game.
Yeah, so that's probably also. You know, I got caught in the corporate. And so many other things.
I definitely don't follow his script. Like, let's say that much. It's quite extreme.
Yeah, and, I would say it's like a regime. It's an extreme, very extreme thing. And coming to you not following that script, you brought up a fact that I did not know about you.
I'm surprised you didn't know that. Like
how would I know? Like, I don't think any one of the viewers who know, like, who watch your content know you as an anime fan.
Yeah, I'm a bit shy to talk about it. I genuinely feel like it's because Shehaan never actually watched anime. So like when he found out that I was obsessed with this genre, he just looked at me like, and like to this day he still looks like that at me. So I kind of get a bit self-conscious. I don't share much about it on Instagram and stuff because I feel like maybe my audience will not relate to it and will find me unrelatable to an extent. What I'm saying is I'm conscious about it and shy to share it. And I feel like I wish I could. I have a, what do you call it? A quiet dream to start. A quiet dream to start a separate YouTube channel where I like share this passion. But it's just a quiet dream because my main thing right now is to grow this channel, of course. But it was just a
when did you get into anime?
I think I was always into watching movies and cartoons as a kid. I loved that experience of, even before that, stories. Stories was a big thing. I used to always tell like my aunties and all, can you tell me a story and this and that. Then I progressed into books. I loved reading at a very young age. And then it was movies and cartoons, 5 p.m. art TV cartoons. Then I was introduced to, of course, Disney, but I was introduced to Digimon when I was about like 7 or 10.
Okay.
Maybe I was 7, I think. And Digimon was like, it blew my mind because it was a cartoon, but it was not the Western type of cartoons that I saw. It had more of a story, more of like tackling real issues of like loss and, you know, feelings and sadness. And I was very intrigued because it was almost a grown-up version of a cartoon, I would say. Not that Digimon is very grown-up, but at 7, I was like, whoa, this is like not power,
taken back by it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first thing. Then after that, I was introduced to Studio Ghibli, which was like Laputa, Castle in the Sky. Again, blew my mind. And then little by little, I knew that I preferred anime over cartoons, right? Because it just was not the same. So I just dabbled in it occasionally, but I was not really into it until I used to, did you know there was something that I used to watch on Cartoon Network when I was 13 years old while having lunch? Like there was this one thing I used to watch. I was 13 and Naruto used to go, Naruto the dub used to go before that, right?
Okay.
And I had to sit and watch it while waiting for this other thing. And it was like that thing one-off where like it's the dub and he's screaming and I'm like, God, this thing is so annoying. I do not want to, I'll never watch this thing. But I was forced to sit through it. And then suddenly the story got me and I'm like, holy shit, I want to watch the next stuff. Can I say shit?
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
fine.
I was like, shit, I need to watch the next episode. And then after a few of those, I just couldn't wait. I went online and I started watching Naruto from the beginning. And at the time, Shippuden wasn't even out, I think.
Okay.
So I started watching it, and I just consumed as much and much and much of it as I could. And I was like, wow, this is like really great for my 13-year-old mind. I was like, yo, this is intense, right? By the end of it, I had cried and, like done so many things. And then it was not over. So again, I didn't really like get into it, but I just watched that and a few other things. But the funny thing is, I would say now I am more invested and I watch more anime now than I did when I was
Back then.
in my teens. Yeah. So
yeah, for me, anime has a very bad image because I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna get killed by my producer after this. I'm gonna get killed by my editor after this, and I'm gonna get killed by a lot of people in Union Gaming after this for these comments. But one of the guys who was in school with me, who actually came from Shehaan school, was completely into Naruto, and he will greet me in the morning with some of these, hand signs or finger signs that he would use. Hello?
Oh, you're back.
Sorry. Where did I cut off?
Your friend was really into Naruto.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry. So my friend was really into Naruto, my classmate, and he would greet all of us in the morning with all these hand signs, whatever,
Oh, no.
whatever you guys, and like for us to be normal people and be like, I'm not saying you guys are abnormal people. I'm just saying for us to be in the very normal
I didn't
sense
do
of,
that though.
right? For us to be in the very normal sense of saying good morning was tough to be like replied to with this guy doing all his jujutsu or whatever, right? And like it put me off Naruto completely. And I did watch one episode of Naruto, and I can't remember what episode this was. Of course, not the pilot. It was some episode where it was on an arena plate with everything just white and a lot of white light going around. I think some transformation or transition was happening. And I was like, no, this is not for me. And ever since then, I've been off anime.
Yeah.
And never got into it.
Yeah.
But my friends
It's easy to
do
get
tell
a bad. It's easy for it to get, because see, even I was very anti the show. It's just that I was forced to sit through a couple of episodes because I was trying to watch this other thing after it.
Right, yeah.
But
She forced me to watch like 3-4
yeah,
seasons.
and then after that, you enjoyed it and you wanted to watch the next one and the next one and the next one.
Yeah, okay. And then moving on from that topic before I get a lot of hate in this community. Okay,
Yeah.
guys.
Well, before we move on, Raoul, I would just like to say, as somebody who has had a very negative experience with anime, you look at me and you would see like a sound person, right? Like I'm a regular, normal person. And as a normal person, one normal person to another normal person, I would tell you there are a few reasons that I like anime. And one is that you can tell stories that seem more realistic because of the fact that they are animated and drawn, and you're able to achieve a certain kind of look and feel, certain, I don't know what, like say you're watching Avengers, and Avengers has a terrible budget. Half of those moves and those explosions and things are going to look crap, right? And it affects the story a lot. Whereas the reality kind of thing, you kind of understand, yes, this world is drawn and this is what it looks like, and you forget that because the story is going well and everything looks, how do I say, better because you don't have a bad CGI budget to like ruin it. That's one.
Yeah.
And the way that animes tell stories and the types of themes that they incorporate in it, it's actually not meant for kids at all. It's very nuanced, and like there's a lot of even in Naruto, I would say I learned a lot of these positive themes and things by watching it. But I don't recommend for people to watch Naruto now because it has aged, and it was something that people who grew up with it have very close to their heart. And then, yeah, that's basically what I said. And I would say nowadays they make much shorter animes where like it's much easier for people to watch and get into. And there are some that I would definitely recommend if you're feeling open to giving it a try. But what it does require is an open mind.
Right. I'm taking Shehan's, idea of like, no.
Okay.
But like I have a lot of friends
Stick
who
to
like come
gaming.
over. Yeah, stick to gaming. Like I have a lot of friends who come over and like chill at my place, and you guys know how a lot of people come and chill at mine. Um, so this particular couple of mine, of my friends, who are dating, they openly told us like they watch hentai and not together. They just watch it on their own.
Separately.
Yeah, and for me, it's like hentai is a whole another ball game, and I was like, why? And she's like, and the girl was like, it's a good story, Raoul. And I was like, whatever floats your boat, whatever helps, guys. I'm out of this conversation. I'm gonna get back to my drinking. But yeah, I mean, different people have their preferences, and I also understand why people hate others for not having the same preference, but I don't like when people do that. It's sad.
Yeah,
I'm
of
not saying
course.
that I wouldn't ever say that you guys are bad for watching Naruto or anime or anything like
But
that.
you wouldn't judge us for it either.
I wouldn't. Not anymore. I did it when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I
see,
wouldn't
that's
lie.
why I'm
When I was
scared to share it. Like, I'm just like, what if people think like, oh my god, I thought this girl was like cool, but actually she's like one of those cuckoo people who watch animated cartoons
But
or
what
something.
if it goes the other way? What if it's more like, oh, she's cooler now
Hey,
that I know
Rahul, let
that
me
she
stop
watched.
you right there. Okay.
Okay. Okay, I will not touch on that topic again.
Eventually,
But
I
just
think
think
it's
about
a
it.
good idea. Yeah.
Think about it. Yeah. Anyway, I just want to thank you guys for coming onto the show today and being here and giving your precious time to talk to me and talk to all the viewers out here today and discussing everything that we could have gone through. It was a pleasure having you guys on. And
It
Thank
was
you for
our
from the
pleasure
having
bottom,
having
us.
you.
of course, it like when the producers and the owners told me like we need people with good stories, I was like, dude, if we don't get this couple, like it's not gonna make sense, right? And I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, tell you guys that I have been there from like the very start of like your
Yes.
whole journey, failing me, journey, and I am so proud of you guys for how far you guys have come, because
Thank you
it's
Thank
so
you.
much.
not a small feat at all. You guys have come so far, and I am still pushing you guys, and I'm so grateful that you guys push me to
Yeah.
make better content as well. So I wish you two all the very best. And I will definitely, Shehaan, I'm definitely coming to Villa Beach one morning. I'm not going to wake up early for it, but I'm going to stay up for it because that's easier for me to do, right?
Yeah,
And I'm definitely helping you on that. I'm also going to visit you guys and do a different session in your studio
definitely.
on how this is going to work. Also, I'm not going to say who painted the room first, but you know, that happens. Of course, you have the upper hand on who cut the hair first, okay? Right?
Well,
Uh,
technically, we bought this paint or we got the paint way before we painted your room.
It doesn't count.
Yeah, it's just we didn't act on it.
it doesn't count, like Shenelle said, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, okay. I
No, I
mean,
like it though.
yeah, it's amazing, dude. Like for me to walk into my room now, I mean, it's not such a pleasing room, like when you look at it, because it's such a small space,
Yeah.
right? But when I walk into that room and it's purple, I'm just like, yes, this is my life now. Right?
Yeah.
You should,
And it's
if, sorry, continue.
no,
And
go
it's,
ahead.
no, just a tip, like in terms of lighting, maybe think about like getting blinds eventually that you could maybe have as contrasting color to the purple.
Okay.
Because like right now, the light on your face is not as visible because of all that backlight coming into the camera.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, eventually, if you want to, that might be a good thing.
No,
too,
I'm
'cause-
I'm gonna what I'm gonna do is anyway get 3M glare
nice.
coating on it. Yeah, because my biggest thing was I wanted that. Do you see that like a little bit of a highlight down there where the light comes through, bounces off the curtain and hits the wall again?
Yeah.
I wanted that highlight because that brings out a very nice tone to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was my initial plan, but then the light's overwhelming in our country, and especially at this time because this room faces west, that window faces west.
Sunset.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, not the best time to like make content or whatever. But yeah, I'm grateful for you guys to like allocating time and coming on and teaching me how to use Google Calendar also. And how to
It's been great. It's always great talking to you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, guys. Yes, we should. We should. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do, and we should do. Thanks for being here on behalf of everyone from the union.
Thank you very much for having us. Wish you guys all the very best.
Yeah, we had a good time, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Subscribe
I'll see you guys. Yeah, of course, guys. Sorry, where's that plug? Wait a minute, guys. By the way, all your channels will be listed in the description below. So, guys, whoever is going to the description, because you should go to the description, go check out their channels. Go hit a like button. Go hit the like button. Go hit the subscribe button, and drop in a heart emoji and say you guys are from the union. Watching right? Go do that. And also, guys, don't forget to hit like on this video and hit the bell notification icon because you would like to get notified about our next podcast. Also, to the two of you guys, we would like to have a small conversation after the podcast. So I'm gonna do an outro and just like 2-3 minutes of the producers talking to us, if that's okay with y'all.
Sure.
Yeah. So
I can have this beer.
Yes, have your beer. Enjoy it.
No. After.
To everyone here who watched this video, thank you guys for joining us today, and thank you guys for listening in. Sorry about the little technical difficulties about the internet. I know it's going to be edited so that it doesn't look like anything happened, but some things happened because of our ISPs in our country. But for you guys who stayed on, please do hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. It would really help us and help our guests also. Their content is really, really good. Trust me, I'm telling you that. And I have been your host today, Raoul Ratnam, and this is the Union.